to the Film Podcast. It is the end of 2025. I am travelling back, right now, back to the real world, back to where it all happens, back to reality. But before I do that, let's talk about 10 films that I saw this year that I think are the best. A lot of people say movies aren't what they used to be. The same old bad CGI superhero stuff that we're all fed up of. Well, no, I don't think that's true. I think creativity in filmmaking is as good as it's ever been. There's a reason why people think that all we ever see are the big blockbuster stuff, all the big franchise stuff, which, in fairness, has been losing money left, right, and centre recently. There's been some exceptions to that rule, of course, but the majority of the big Hollywood stuff hasn't made, certainly not as much money as it used to. Art is not always about making money. Art is not always about the dollar or the pound or whatever currency you use. There's another side to art, and in particular, there's another side to film, and that's the creativity, the art side of it, if you will. This year has seen a great selection of movies that have got art and artistic value at their very core. Couple that with emotions and beautiful visuals, and let's talk about a top 10 that I think you should see. Maybe you've seen some of these films already, but maybe not, and hopefully this top 10 will get you in the mood to watch something awesome, something great, something that you might love for the rest of time. But before we get into the top 10, I reckon we should do a couple of honourable mentions. There's been some stuff out there that hasn't necessarily been seen in a cinema. Recently, we've heard a lot about Netflix, but they've released a couple of films this year that I'm putting up as a kind of runner-up to the top 10. Films that are on Netflix that aren't necessarily destined to be in the cinema, but certainly have a lot of creativity behind them, and that same ethos that I talked about earlier. So let's talk about a couple of honourable mentions then. Honourable mentions in the sense that you can find these films on Netflix, that's where they live. I was lucky enough to see the first one that I've picked on a cinema screen at a London Film Festival screening, and it was weird because I've never been to a cinema where they had security on the doors. There was actual security on the doors of the cinema, and I'd never seen that before. Two bouncer guys, all dressed up, ready to, knock people's heads off or whatever. I don't know what they were there for. I don't know what they were protecting exactly, but whatever. The first one I'm going to talk about is a movie from a director that we all know and all love. Some of his work is amongst the greatest visual pieces of filmmaking from the past 20, 30 years. Frankenstein 2025. I have a real love-hate relationship with this movie. And that's because, on one hand, visually, it gives you every single thing you want from gorgeous Gothic cinema. Story-wise, it's not a new story. It's something we've seen happen many, many times over the years. The only thing is, Frankenstein was a Netflix movie. And if it wasn't for the power and the sway of somebody like Guillermo del Toro, then I don't think we'd have seen it at all in cinemas, which, given the way it looks, given what it is a real travesty. And I'm pretty sure that the majority of the audience, and I guess this is intentional by Netflix, won't have ever seen it in a cinema. And seeing it on the big screen was really quite something. I didn't do a review of it because, despite the visuals, despite it looking incredible, I didn't really think it was great from an acting point of view. Jacob Elordi, absolutely amazing as the monster, the beast, whatever you want to call him. But I just think the script was a little bit too strange. It was a little bit too hokey. It was a little bit too uppity, ye olde English done wrong. They were trying to do Sense and Sensibility sort of speak, but in a Gothic horror film. And I don't think it worked very well. It kind of annoyed me, to be honest. But it's an honourable mention because of what it is and where it came from and who made it. And basically the whole look of it is beautiful. If something like Frankenstein doesn't say cinema, then I don't know what does. And it's ironic that something as cinematic as Frankenstein was actually made for a TV screen. But let's give it its credit because it does look absolutely gorgeous. And lucky me, I did get to see it on a cinema screen. So I'm thankful for that. But it certainly deserves an honourable mention. And if you do have a Netflix account, then it's definitely worth checking out Frankenstein. It's available everywhere around the world on Netflix. So I'd say watch it if you've not seen it yet. And we're going to stick with Netflix again for another honourable mention, which is a movie called Train Dreams. Train Dreams is about a man in the early days of industrial America. You know, when hope was there, hope yet rough and ruggedness existed simultaneously. It was a hard life, a very hard life, and I think Train Dreams does show the harshness of that life. He's a logger, right? So he goes on missions, let's say, around the sort of undeveloped USA, forests all over the country, and he goes around cutting down trees, essentially. Which in itself, when we look back now at that, is it's not great, right? We don't want to cut down trees, right? The environment and stuff. He's part of the cutting down trees to make railroads thing. And the railroads obviously played a huge role in the development of America as an industrial nation, as a place that is prosperous and free and all of the things that America used to be. Like I say, it's got that harshness of reality to it, but it's also got that sort of delicateness as well. Now, from a story perspective, it is absolutely flawless, this film. It's absolutely flawless. It's strange to look at because it's got this really weird aspect ratio. It's basically a window box. You know, most of us have got widescreen TVs these days, but this movie's been made for a non-widescreen TV. And that's not unusual. Some films are like that anyway. But this film has also got this weird smaller aspect ratio. It's a window box within a window box. I'm not sure why they've done that aspect ratio, but whatever the reason, it certainly is an interesting film to look at. It kind of looks like a postage stamp. You know, it's like looking at a postage stamp. For a film that's very small scale, because it is really small scale, it packs in the hugest emotional punch throughout the entire thing. I found myself amazed, essentially, at what I was seeing with Train Dreams. I think Train Dreams is absolutely beautiful. It's a stunning film to look at. The performances are absolutely spectacular. I mean, to be honest, I didn't put this in the top 10 because I didn't see it on the big screen. And this channel is all about seeing stuff on the big screen. Although, yes, I saw Frankenstein on the big screen, I didn't think it was quite good enough to get into the top 10. I didn't see this on the big screen, but this is well good enough to get into the top 10. And it's a real shame. I would love to have seen this in a cinema, but it was not showing anywhere in the south of England. Or I don't think it was showing anywhere in England, in fact. And it's a shame because it is a very affecting film. It's a very dramatic film. It's a very emotional film. And it's a very poignant film. It's quite beautiful to look at, and it's quite beautiful from a story perspective as well. You know, Train Dreams is a film about what I'd call karma. The message of the movie itself plays heavily on that philosophy. Do bad things, ignore bad things, and bad things will happen to you. I think that's the central piece to its emotional core. As I say, his job is logging, right? He goes out there logging, cutting down trees. Certainly what happens to his family later in the film is very much the karma version of those trees getting their own back on what he did. It's quite something. So this is another recommendation. This is another call out there to the cinematic universe to say, if you've not seen Train Dreams yet, then it's worthy of an honourable mention because it's pretty great. And I did love it. I was in bits at the end. So, you know, if you fancy something that isn't going to light your fire in terms of joy, then Train Dreams is definitely the one to watch. Anyway, there you go. There you go. There's our honourable mentions. We have done our honourable mentions. Things that didn't quite make it into the list, but are worthy of a mention anyway. Damn you, Netflix. Damn you, Netflix. So we're now at the point of no return. We are at the point of no return. I am still on my way back home, and let's just do it. It's time to get into it. It is time to count down the top 10 films of 2025 right here on the Film Podcast. And obviously, the best place to start with the top 10 is at number 10.
There have been two moments in my life when I was happiest. The first was the day I met Josh.
I'm Josh.
I'm Iris. And the second, the day I killed him.
First on the top 10, this is Companion. It's got a streak of dark comedy running through it and is totally self-aware. Finely balanced, so it's about to tip into absurdity and brings itself back to the analogy that this bases its story on. In some ways totally, obviously spelling out what it all means, and in other ways just a crazy ride. Sophie Thatcher knocks it out the park here as Iris. The very beginning of the film, as you just saw, is that cliche of all those romantic movies, overblown scenes and blinding colours that you usually see in Hollywood rom-coms. And this is where the less you know about Companion, the better. But we don't live in this world. If the main plot device wasn't given away in the trailers, then this would be film of the year without a doubt. But the filmmakers wanted to go down a different route. Directed by Drew Hancock and produced by your man Zach Cregger, it looks at a relationship that seems normal, but reveals itself to be anything but. It's a movie that surprised me that so many ideas could be crammed together and work so well. This is Companion, and it's great. You know, Companion is a really memorable film. It's a memorable film because of a really amazing central performance. It's innovative structure, and it's really dark, black comedy streak that it's got. And speaking of black comedy, let's go for number 9. So number 9 is one of those movies from what I would call the modern Big Four. 4 directors that really do shape the landscape of independent cinema. I suppose you can call it independent cinema. I guess we can call it that. Those directors create films that make you think rather than just sit there and absorb. And the number 9 is one of those films. Let's not waste any time. Let's talk about Eddington.
I am recording this. Fair warning. Is that really necessary? Look, Joe, 6 feet.
Welcome to Eddington. It's a small town, it's the pandemic, and the mayor is towing the party line regarding wearing masks. But the sheriff of Eddington has different ideas and an even worse agenda. This film is a commentary on a few things. It's got its finger on the pulse of, well, everything that happened during the COVID times up until right now. The 2 main characters are in a face-off with each other as the world around them descends into political madness, featuring an utterly amazing cast, starting with Joaquin Phoenix, Austin Butler, Emma Stone, and Pedro Pascal. It's directed by Ari Aster and is his most accessible film. If you want abstract nuttiness, then check out Beau is Afraid. His other movies are completely amazing too, Midsommar and Hereditary, but Eddington is different. It's trying to say different things, and it succeeds in delivering its message 100% if you go looking. You can also dig a little deeper for some big themes: conspiracies, abuse, racism, and corporatism. The film is split into 3 acts, one each more interesting than the other. Whereas the 3rd act goes totally, well, you're gonna have to watch it to find out. Ari Aster is responsible for a range of interesting movies. With Eddington, he goes from internal commentary on relationships, family, and psychosis, to the external trauma of the world we live in, all condensed into the town of Eddington. It does get personal when it comes to the sheriff, played by Joaquin Phoenix, and the mayor, played by Pedro Pascal. One wants to enforce the COVID mask mandate, and one doesn't. This gives way to conflict that escalates into off-the-rails territory, all with a backdrop of conspiracy theories, COVID pandemics, mayoral campaigns, and, well, I'm not saying it because it's a spoiler. Eddington is worth your time and is number 9 on the best movies of 2025. So that was Eddington, and if you've not seen it, I guarantee you're going to love it. It's one of those really, really awesome films that you can actually just sit back and enjoy anyway, even if you don't want to take in all the big stuff that it's trying to say. It's pretty great. All right then, so we've been through some of the top 10 already. We're at number 8. What is number 8? It's a horror movie that there was a proper buzz around when this movie came out. The more people saw it, the more other people went to see it as well because of that old-fashioned word of mouth thing. It came out, audiences were amazed by what they were seeing. They told their friends, and their friends went to see it, and it created a real massive hit for everyone who made it. It's a horror movie, and it's one of my favourite horror movies of the year. It's number 8 on the top 10 of 2025, and it's genuinely an astonishing piece of work. Weapons is described as a mysterious thriller, but I reckon, certainly on a second watch, it's a teeny tiny bit of a comedy too. But this comedy never ever gives away to the tension. This movie was one of those cinema-going experiences where the audience at the screening where I was audibly amazed at what was unfolding. It's directed by Zach Cregger, who gave us the superb Barbarian in 2022, and his first very, very low-budget movie, Miss March. It's okay. With a cast that includes Julia Garner, Josh Brolin, Amy Madigan, and Benedict Wong, Weapons has its characters live in this odd world where everything is normal but feels a little off. All the kids from one class in one school just disappear from their homes in the middle of the night. They run away with their arms by their sides, sticking out slightly, which draws its inspiration from the horrifying Napalm Girl photo from the Vietnam War. The parents blame the teacher, and one parent takes it upon himself to investigate what might have happened. There are other moments in the film that could mean one thing or could mean another. An AR-15 hovering above a house, the parallels between 217 and the US assault rifle legislation, or even the room number in The Shining. It's all there for you to discover. Weapons has its ebb and flow balanced perfectly. It's scary, it's eerie, it's not afraid of jump scares, and Amy Madigan is both weird and terrifying all at once. When this movie comes together, it lives up to what it promised by being completely awesome, start to finish. Maybe that one's got the craziest ending of 2025. Maybe. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. It's time for the number 7 film on the top 10 of 2025. Let's get into it.
How did you cope with Kathy being gone?
I didn't.
Danny Philippou and Michael Philippou directed the 2022 movie Talk to Me, which was a scary and grungy horror film. The follow-up project, built on the already stable horror foundations, was Bring Her Back. This time we're introduced to our main characters who right from the start have a pretty rough ride. Their brother and sister, who were adopted by Sally Hawkins. I got the name right this time, see the review for more information. This movie has everything going for it. It's a horror. Its proven pedigree with the excellent Talk to Me. Its central performances are all outstanding. And the story has more to it than just, I'm scary. The crafted ideas in both the story and the script have an occult element. But the reason we go there is because of Laura's needs to connect with what's been lost. Sally Hawkins is able to go from fun, cool mother figure to terrifying loony with great effect. And let's talk about Jonah Wren Phillips, who plays the already adopted kid Connor. If there ever was a reason to be afraid of some people, then Connor is that reason. Some of the body horror stuff is look away uncomfortable, but all of it has a purpose. All of it has its reasons. Not a single great idea is wasted here. And that's why Bring Her Back is number 7, best movie of 2025. You know, I loved Bring Her Back. It had everything that a good horror film should have, coupled with that poignant ending. I mean, I just loved it. It was proper incredible. It was a great cinematic experience and a film that I did not forget from the very second that I saw it. So we've made it to number 6 on the top 10 of 2025. So I reckon this next one is one you probably have not seen. Oh my God.
Good morning, Corey.
Good morning, Michelle.
I believe every company should strive to form a diverse table, to empower people of different skills and every time, what is it?
Skills and identities.
To foster a new generation of, okay, let's go again.
A bizarre trailer gives way to a completely bizarre film with Bugonia. Nothing is normal or nothing is straightforward, no matter how much it tries. Seeing this film on the big screen was exciting. Not knowing what to expect or where it was going to end up, literally, I knew after every scene I just witnessed a true masterwork. But those awesome scenes kept on coming. This is a remake, though, of a Korean movie called Save the Green Planet, which I still haven't seen yet.
Welcome to the headquarters of the human resistance.
Where's my hair?
Your hair has been destroyed to prevent you from contacting your ship.
What ship?
Your mothership?
Okay.
The new version is directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, whose previous work includes The Favourite and the utterly crazy Poor Things, but Bugonia stars Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons. This film is about a tech billionaire and a beekeeper whose lives meet with a truly bizarre and outrageous kidnapping plot. Fueled by paranoia about aliens ruling the world and conspiracy theories involving said aliens, Plemons, who I think is unrecognisable by the way, is joined by Aidan Delbis, who plays Don, Teddy's autistic cousin, and sidekick to the kidnapping plot behind the story, and a man who is our voice of reason in the story. And boy, we need it. Bugonia is a very relevant film about delusion and the mix-up of misinformation that can happen in the modern world. And Lanthimos shows us in a way only Lanthimos can, with his signature absurdity and his unsettling style of visual storytelling. And you know what? It's fun. This film is raise your eyebrows, laugh to yourself bonkers in some parts, especially the ending. And that's a major reason why it's here in the top 10 of 2025 at number 6. Alright, that was number 6. That was Bugonia. Oh my good God. Oh my God. It's epic, that one. Epic, comical, crazy, insane. Oh my Lord, what a film. You know, Bugonia was a movie that made me fall in love with cinema all over again. Even though I didn't really fall out of love with it anyway, but, you know, so I had to put it in the top 10 because it is magnificent. Oh, it's magnificent. It captivated me with its sheer madness. I absolutely loved it. But speaking of sheer madness, we've made it to number 5 on the top 10 of 2025. So let's see what we've got. It's definitely a film that any lover of cinema should see right now. Don't even wait. Just watch it. It's from one of those 4 modern directors, cinema gods that I talked about earlier. It's number 5.
Rise and shine.
Bat an eyelash.
Good morning.
There are no hands on the clock
Why?
because they're not needed.
What time is it?
Fuck. You know, I don't remember that part. All right, let's just not nitpick over the passwords.
Paul Thomas Anderson doesn't release many films, so when he does, it's worth celebrating for a number of reasons. And pulling together a cast of Hollywood royalty like Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, Regina Hall, Teyana Taylor, and unknown actors like Chase Infinity, mixing them together and delivering not only sublime performances, but also unforgettable ones. A film about revolution, but a faded memory of days gone by. We see the glory days of our 2 main characters who thought they could change the world. Fast forward 16 years, and our revolutionaries' lives have changed. In one case becoming a paranoid recluse, and in the other case continuing the fight but failing in an increasingly different world. Situations transpire and our washed-up freedom fighter is forced to get back into it all over again on a mission to save his daughter. The film is shot using the VistaVision technique on 35mm, so by definition has that texture of celluloid, those stark blunt colours of the daytime, giving way to those desaturated blues of nighttime. It's gorgeous to look at, it's long, and it doesn't waste a second of its runtime. Every aspect of this movie, from the production, the writing, the editing, and the cinematography, is a film fan's gallery of stuff to love. Highlights from Paul Thomas Anderson's filmography are as follows. There Will Be Blood, The Master, Punch Drunk Love, Magnolia, none of them are short, and dive deep into their characters. One battle after another does the same, but we're looking at a different Paul Thomas Anderson here, his version of an action film. I've had only one other experience of a Paul Thomas Anderson film on the big screen previously. This film delivers on every promise made by every indication that this movie was going to be spectacular. And it 100% is. We hit some traffic. We've hit some traffic, but that's alright, that's fine. We're still on our way home. We'll get there eventually at some point. Oh, we will. It's just more opportunity to talk about the top 10 of 2025. So let's remind ourselves, halfway through this year, about like June, July time, I released the top 5 movies, you know, up to that point. Certainly movies that I had not kind of done a full review on the channel. One of those movies has made it to this year's top 10 because it's a film that I haven't forgotten about. I have not forgotten about this film. I put it on at home and I was just absolutely blown away and heartbroken by everything in this film from the very start to the end. It's truly a piece of wonderful cinema. It really is special. I mean, I saw it on the small screen, and some might say that's a bit sacrilegious, but, you know, it's fine. I think we can let it off, because if I'd have seen this on the big screen, I don't know. I do not know what I would have done. I probably would have been a complete mess afterwards. I would have needed help from the medical services or something, I don't know. It's a profoundly emotional and majestic piece of cinema with a central character that is well, I mean, is probably one of the greatest things you'll see. So amazing, sublime in fact. Let's see what it is. It's number 4. This film is a political biographical drama, focusing on a part of history in Brazil that changed an entire nation, from being a cool, free, awesome place to live with beaches, sea, fun and sun, that gives way to oppression via a newly installed military dictatorship. Our central character is a mother and activist, coping with the forced disappearance of her husband, the dissident politician Ruben Paiva. She spends the entire movie trying to find her husband, while at the same time trying to keep herself and the family together. Things start to get more and more bleak as time moves on, and we as viewers end up having to confront the truth of what happened. Fernanda Torres delivers a genuinely unforgettable performance that is the absolute highlight of an already incredible film. Directed by Walter Salles, who was responsible for the 2004 biographical coming-of-age road trip movie, The Motorcycle Diaries. This film never stops pushing and pushing you until you, like the main character, can't cope anymore. I'm Still Here was nominated for a raft of major awards last year, winning some too. But regardless of that, this is a movie that will always be relevant due to the warnings it gives buried in its subtext. It's worth your time. It certainly is. I'm Still Here is at number 4 on the top 10 of 2025. Alright, that was number 4 on the top 10 of 2025. Number 4, a movie that I will never ever forget seeing, even though I didn't see it in the cinema. Just what a piece of work that is. What a piece. Oh, we're getting close to number 1. It's almost upon us. We're getting closer, closer, closer. So let's check out what's at number 3. The number 3 film of 2025. Right, okay then. Animations come in all shapes and sizes, and animations come with all different types of budgets as well, particularly digital animation. The ethos is the lower the budget of an animation, the worse the animation's going to be. That's definitely not the case here with the number 3 film of 2025. Latvian director Gints Zilbalodis brings us our 3rd best film of 2025, a story about Kat, who lives in a world where all the humans have vanished. Instead, we see a lived-in world that remains after something happened to cause people to disappear. Then comes the flood. Kat goes from its day-to-day life to a desperate race for survival. Kat eventually ends up on a boat that is sailed by a group of refugee animals that manage to escape the flood and find safety together. It's here where Flow becomes the masterpiece that I called it in my original review. The fact that none of the animals speak, the fact that the animation is a half-realistic rendering of the creatures and the world they inhabit, gives a magical element to this film that I didn't expect. As the journey to find dry land progresses, we see a bit more of the flooded world, and the film lets our imagination determine what could have gone on here. You might be thinking, it's a kids' film, but it's so much more. It's a meditation on existence, difference, and cooperation that gives you all the heart and soul without uttering a single word. Number 3 on the top 10 movies of 2025, it's Flow. So that was Flow. When Flow ended, I couldn't see clearly when I was walking out of the cinema because of the tears. Not just because of the story, but also the sheer magnificence at what it achieved. It is a true work of amazement, and it's a film I'll never forget seeing up there on the big screen. You know, one of those moments of cinema? Well, Flow definitely had it. We've reached number 2 in the top 10 of 2025. What is it going to be? What is at number 2? Film is made up of a few different elements. Visual, of course. You know, what are you looking at? Sound, what are you hearing? Those 2 things make up the bulk of cinema. You know, if you've got those 2 things, you've got the basis for a film. But one of those things that is, well, not necessarily overlooked in cinema, but certainly is something that adds to a film greatly, that makes a film better than what it would be without it. It's music. Music is what makes a film stand out. Musical scores from people like John Williams and, you know, musical scores from even people like Rolf Kent. All of these guys create these things that heighten or dampen or bring you on an emotional ride alongside the words and the visuals and everything else that happens in a film. Now, the number 2 film is a film that features music at its core, at its very centre, at its very soul.
What can we say about Sinners? Let's start with the basic idea about cinema. Our love of the medium comes from a few places. To quote a famous film reviewer, you take away from it what you bring to it. And Sinners is one of those experiences that combines all elements of great storytelling, great filmmaking, and sprinkled with a little magic. Sinners is directed by Ryan Coogler, who's done the Marvel thing, has done the Hollywood thing, and managed to get total control over his latest film, Sinners. Part action film, part horror film. It's set in 1932, in the Mississippi Delta. After fighting for their country in World War I, identical twin veterans Elijah Smoke and Elias Stack return home after spending several years in Chicago working for the mob. They steal some money with the intention of opening up a juke joint for the local black community in their hometown. They buy a disused sawmill intending to open the club after reconnecting with some people from their old lives. We get introduced to the rest of the characters at this point, and the plan comes together. Their younger cousin Sammy, a singer and guitarist, joins them despite his pastor father's warnings about the sins of blues music. The twins recruit pianist Delta Slim as a performer, local Chinese shopkeeper couple Grace and Bo Chow as suppliers, field worker Cornbread as a bouncer, and Smoke's wife Annie as a cook. Stack also has a confrontation with his ex-girlfriend Mary, who he left to protect her from the white community. Parallel to this, we see Remick, who happens to be a vampire. He's on the run from the Choctaw vampire hunters and finds refuge with a married Klansman couple, where he hides and turns them both into vampires. On the opening night of the juke joint, on the stage, we're treated to a musical experience that is the greatest cinematic melding of music and visuals I've ever seen. The creativity, beauty, and choreography of this scene are jaw-dropping. A blending of decades of musical styles that is one continuous shot as we drift around the crowd in awe at what we're seeing and hearing. But the music attracts the attention of Remick, and by this point, his group of vampires. They want to come in, and this is where the action begins. Ryan Coogler and cinematographer Autumn Durald Arkipour have crafted a real visual wonder here with Sinners, using 70mm IMAX and Ultra Panavision 70 film stock, giving it 2 different aspect ratios but utterly beautiful with either. It has a stunning colour palette, both warm and cold at the exact same time. Coogler drew inspiration from the films of Quentin Tarantino, Jordan Peele, Christopher Nolan, Francis Ford Coppola, Brian De Palma, Spike Lee, and the Metallica song One. Sinners is a modern-day epic. It's a modern-day masterpiece that was incredible the moment I'd seen it, and remains just as special after all this time. And that's why it's number 2 on the top 10 of 2025.
The whole experience of Sinners was a ride into cinematic wonderland. Not only because of the music, not only because of the movie itself, but also learning about the techniques and learning about the formats and everything else that it was shot on. Learning about the vision that it had and what it took to put it down on screen. And also who made it. The crew, everybody involved in the creation of Sinners. It's just an absolutely amazing piece of cinema. Again, that if you haven't seen, just watch it. Awesome. Absolutely terrific piece of work. So that leaves us with number 1. The number 1 film of 2025. Now, if you're in the UK, it's going to be very, very difficult to get this film anywhere to watch at home. And that's a real tragedy. That is a tragedy. Because this is not only one of the greatest films of 2025 as far as I'm concerned, but it's also one of the greatest films I've ever seen. And I say that because of a couple of reasons. And like all good movie experiences, it was a film that I wasn't expecting to hit me as hard as it did. A film I wasn't expecting to be as moved by as I was. But the devastation begins the moment you sit down and the lights go dim. Boom, it's got ya. Once I'd seen it, once it had finished, once it had ended, it was something that I could not get over for weeks. I was constantly thinking about it. I was constantly going back to it in my mind and coming up with new explanations, new things that I remembered about the experience of seeing the number 1 movie. last year's number one was a film called The Substance, which had a very similar effect. It was completely insane, The Substance. It was like being hit in the face with cinema itself. Just an experience I'll never forget. But Papa was a completely different experience, but still an experience that I'll never forget. It's an emotional roller coaster, and that's something that, you know, we talk about a lot with films. Well, that's what this film is. It's one of my favourite films ever made. I'm pretty sure. I couldn't believe what I'd seen. I could not believe it. And that's why it's at number one on the top 10 of 2025.
Papa is a Hong Kong family drama directed and written by Philip Young. In all honesty, this film is harrowing, not because it's gruesome, not because of any horror in fact, but because of its impact. It's so low-key, even to the point of mundane, as we're introduced to our main characters. The day-to-day struggle of existence is focused on, but we're shown that despite some minor problems, the family is strong together. All that changes. All that normality we've settled into as viewers is ripped away when the son kills his mother and sister. At this point, we don't know what's happened, because we're away from the home along with Papa. When he gets back, he sees the emergency services that litter the streets outside the family's apartment, and he then discovers what has happened. The movie is about survivors' guilt, about trying to figure out what happened, not in a Sherlock Holmes investigation sort of way, but in an emotional way. The film spent its time looking back at clues, events, and significant moments that could help Papa understand what happened and why. Each flashback brings us ever closer to the event itself, and suddenly we're there, and we have to see it, and it stuns us. It happens like an out-of-body experience as we see the horror. It's the most harrowing film experience because the film has spent so much time dwelling on these people in such a personal way, we feel connected to them. Papa not only has to come to terms with what happened, he also has to interact with his son. For me, this is the part of the film that forces the audience to confront their own feelings in this situation. The first time Papa is waiting in the prison to meet his son since the murders took place. The moment the son walks in is the moment you discover how you might feel in this situation. This movie is a truly profound and moving experience that I will never forget. It's crafted so meticulously as to blend what might be a memory and what might be a dream from the perspective of a father and husband who lost everything and needs to reconcile with reality. This movie is called Papa, and it's a Cantonese movie that stands above everything else I saw in 2025. And considering this year's been an amazing year for cinema, it goes to show how incredible Papa really is. What a movie.
There you go. Papa was profound, affecting, and absolutely heartbreaking. It reaffirms my love for cinema. It reaffirms my want to experience new things up there on the big screen, to see stuff that people have loved and cared about, and based upon either their own experiences or experiences that they feel they can connect with somehow for some reason. And Papa is one of those. Papa's definitely one of those films. It's going to be really difficult to find it here in the UK. I don't know about the rest of the world, but definitely it's not available anywhere. So you're going to have to get creative, maybe with your VPNs, maybe with your Amazon global accounts or whatever the hell. I recommend you watch Papa as soon as you can, wherever you can find it, because I just could not get over it once I'd seen it. It's beautiful, upsetting, heartbreaking. It's just genuinely a piece of work that will break you when you see it. You know, like every year, we all experience joy, sorrow, pain, happiness, and by our sides through it all is art. Whether that art is books, paintings, music, or in my case, cinema. We use these things to help us through the struggle that is life. Because life's a struggle, right? You know, strange stuff has happened out there in the real world, you know? And cinema has reflected some of it back at us. And I say, long may it last. Some people are saying movies are back. And 2026 is going to be an exciting year for some huge Hollywood releases. But you know what? I'm excited about the stuff I don't know about yet. It's been an amazingly strange year for all of us out here in the real world. 2025 is over. It is done. We are finished. And I've got to say, thank you to everybody that's watched all of the reviews on the channel. Thank you to anyone that's press the like button. Thank you to anyone that's a lover of cinema, because here we are together experiencing our top 10 of 2025. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves. I will be back as soon as possible with some brand new reviews here on the channel. But up until then, enjoy the rest of 2025. Welcome to 2026. I'll see you again very soon on the Film Podcast.